say collective art, it's a collective goal. What I find very amazing about it is its ability to connect people. Every flight involves a lot of coordination with a lot of people, from air traffic controllers to operations to even ground personnel and everyone else in the process. It gives you this sort of feeling that you're part of a bigger team. Very amazing because it simply proves that, among other things, safety is interdependent.
In the earlier years, women were not considered major players in the aviation world. However, for the past decades, we continue to prove to everyone that women can excel in a male-dominated industry.
Indeed, it's not easy to become a pilot.
We're not expected to memorize, but we're expected to think.
We were always encouraged to become thinking pilots.
Nothing beats the first taste of takeoff.
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is the airline industry and aviation training. And we've said goodbye for the meantime to GM Chris Magdangal, but joining us are his colleagues, Dindo Banatao, who's the head of operations of AAG, and Odi Rembilio, head of training of AAG, and himself a very accomplished pilot. So, Odi and Dindo, thank you for coming to the show. Welcome again to
Thank you for inviting us.
Global Village. Yes. So, before we talk about you guys, let's talk about that video we saw. It looked like a very fun video, and we saw some people undergoing a ritual. Like one of them was being, dunked or doused with a gallon or several gallons of water. What is that about?
That's actually a tradition being done by cadet pilots when they just had their first solo. And it's really a tradition that's being done all over the world, if I may say, because I also experienced that when I had my first solo in the Army. Sometimes it's a very important part of cadets training. It's a very important milestone of cadet training to have the first solo, because it's the time when your confidence from merely 20% might actually jump to 110%.
Yeah.
So because it's the time when you would feel that you are a true pilot because you had flown the aircraft on your own.
Must be a scary experience, no? Now, you gentlemen are both aviators, no? Air Force aviator and former Air Force aviator, and now airline pilot and former Army aviator. Before we go again to the introductions, what was it like to do your first solo? Because I'm not a pilot, but I can imagine it must be an uplifting, incredible experience, no?
I always get that question, actually. And I always say, there's nothing that is fearful, or you won't actually feel afraid of going solo. It's more of excitement. It's more of finally getting that dream. Because soloing, getting your first solo is like almost telling yourself, I'm now a full-fledged pilot.
Wow, bravo. Now, Dindo, you were with the Army.
Yes.
What led you to the aviation industry?
Well, as I've said, I was also trained as an aviator.
Yeah, the private aviation industry. Yeah.
I spent about 26 years in the service. 10 years of those are in the field. And after my stint in Mindanao, I was recalled to the headquarters to train as aviator. And it was in 1989 when I had my first taste of becoming a pilot. I trained in Fort Magsaysay with the Army Aviation. And, after that, it was an sporadic involvement in the aviation industry, I would say, because I was eventually assigned to the headquarters and spent the last 12 years of my career in the headquarters. But after I decided to go in the corporate world, maybe it's my destiny to become part of the aviation industry, because I had this chance to join AAG as head of operations.
Very good, very good. Now, you, Audie, you stayed in the service short, not as long as Dindo did, 26 years. You got out early, I understand? Or
16
early-ish?
years compared
16
to
years,
his,
okay.
it's relatively
Which is also
short.
which is also a long time, but shorter than Dindo's. What led you to this path?
Well, when you join the Air Force, it's like half of your feet is being pulled by the airline industry. It's very enticing. The rewards that you get with that kind of profession.
Yes, and I told Chris earlier in the first segment that I actually met not a few former Philippine Air Force pilots, like in places like India. I even meet some in Africa flying. So a lot of you guys have really left the service when you've done your time and joined the private sector, no? And continue your passion in the private sector. Okay, let's talk about AAG, this company that you guys are now involved in. How would you describe, let's say, what kind of training do you offer to people? Because Chris and I talked about it, let's say, just on a broad level, but what is it like to become an AAG cadet?
We have this so-called Zero to Hero program. It's called the APP, or the Airline Pilot Program. Anybody who has the passion to fly can come and join us.
Yeah.
It's a 15 to 18 month flying program. From zero experience up to when you graduate, you're already qualified to join any airline.
Wow. Okay. Is that normal to take? I mean, that time so for training. You said 15 to 18 months, and it really is possible to join an airline and get the skills in that time period and be able to join an airline as a professional.
Yeah. Sir.
Well, aside, I just want to add
Sure,
up
please.
to what Odi mentioned a while ago. Aside from us being a training institution that caters to the training of pilots from zero to hero, I would say we have a different program because this is a cadetship program. In fact, aside from PAL, this is the only cadetship program that exists in the Philippines.
Interesting.
Yeah, and by the word itself, cadetship, it has a flavor of discipline because we wanted to really do what is already being done in the airline, so to give an easy transformation from a plain civilian to a pilot.
When you say
Join the
cadetship,
airlines.
does it have some sort of military nature to it? Like, people are they're in a barracks, that kind of thing, that kind of pseudo military training. Is that what you're referring when you say cadetship?
Sort of, but it's entirely different from the cadetship that we have experienced in the Philippine Military Academy, because this is more on instilling discipline, not in a military way, but by way of emulating what's being done in the airlines. We are giving them an environment which would be the actual environment when they join the airlines.
And discipline is really, like you, Audie, you've been a commercial pilot for a long time already, and as Dindo was saying, just that environment of discipline that's necessary in your profession, no?
It's a required ingredient in this profession. It's imperative that you have this level of discipline in order for one to become successful in this industry.
Absolutely. I mean, especially since for safety requirements, you have to be.
And I think that's what Dindo was talking about. It's more of the time management. It's more of giving them the feel of regimented life in terms of time. That's basically the kind of discipline that we instill in the school.
What's the demographic? Because Chris earlier mentioned that you have a multinational student body that goes that attends AAG, and actually we have some photos that we flash every now and then that show people the appearance of your school and your facilities and all that. But like, who attends AAG? What is the demographic? Young people? Is it people fresh out of college? Who are they?
Yeah. Essentially, out of 200, if I have to mention about the composition of our students, about 80% of them are Filipinos still, 20% are foreigners, and out of those 20%, about 15% is mainly Vietnamese. In fact, right now we have an American student, American cadet. But those who are coming from the Philippines are those who have graduated from college, mainly because it's
Fresh out of college.
the requirement if you enter our airline in the Philippines.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to have a college degree to be able to fly, no? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not, to get a license, you don't really necessarily have to have a
But
college
by
degree.
regulations, it's not
Yeah,
required.
yeah. So how come you guys require a college degree before you can join AAG?
It's more of the requirement of the airlines
Okay.
rather than the industry.
Okay. And the people joining you, are they, let's say, do people, I mean, are they all students sponsored by the airline, or are there, you also have a lot of paying
All
customers?
of our cadets are self-sponsored.
Self-sponsored.
Okay, wow. How much does it cost to go through a program like this? You said 15 to 18 months and from zero to hero, and that includes all the training, all the licenses, and when you graduate from AAG, you can join an airline. I mean, approximately, just to
I
give a
would say
ballpark
it's
amount.
around $100,000 US dollars,
It's not cheap, huh?
or let's say 5 million
cheap.
in
It's not
terms
cheap.
of Philippine peso.
But career-wise, when you graduate from this academy, from AAG, the school, and you join the airline, the rewards are also very good, right?
Yes, it's a very rewarding profession, not only in terms of monetary
Yeah.
returns, but also your exposure. You get to travel around the world for free. You get to meet a lot of people. It's a very vibrant profession, so to speak.
Is it a difficult job, Hodi?
My mantra personally is that nothing's difficult for as long as you really want it.
Good answer. But let's say in terms of you know, just the difficulty of the profession, is it time consuming? Is it tiring? What is it like to be an airline pilot?
You really have to have that dedication, that focus. Without that, it's going to be a tough road along the way in order to get this profession.
Yes. Do you see that, Dean, in the students who come to you? I mean, do you see that common personality trait that all of them or most of them come to your school focused and driven and purpose-driven and all that?
Oh yes, being in the operations, you would see these cadets every now and then, every day in fact. And if you just think about the complexity of what's happening during the training, apart from imparting the lesson that is embedded in every sortie, if you think about some aspects that is beyond our control and some are factors that you cannot predict, like weather,
Yes.
the air traffic control, the medical condition of the crew, you really have to focus in order to graduate to be a very good pilot.
Yes. How would you describe the 15 to 18 months training? Like, how would it be broken up into? Like what the first 3 months would be classroom, the next 3 months would be actual. How do you break up the 15 to 18 months?
The training is actually composed of two general phases.
Okay.
That is the basic flight training, or we
Okay.
call it flight training. We use the actual aircraft to train the cadets, and the second part is a type rating training, specifically on the Airbus 320.
Simulators.
So on the first phase, which is the basic flight training, we further subdivide that into the PPL phase, or private pilot phase, the CPL phase, and the or commercial pilot phase, and the instrument rating phase. After which, you get to proceed to the type rating.
Yes.
So the risk is, of course, obviously in the flight training phase.
We have some photos here we're showing of your students, and I noticed that there are not a few females. What is the breakdown? What is the demographic gender-wise? What's the ratio of male to female in your school?
There's no limit, actually. I would like to answer it in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
We don't put a cap or a certain percentage for slots for females. It's actually open. If one day more females will come in and enroll, then welcome.
But currently, how many? What is the ratio currently?
Right now,
to your
there's
male,
about
female?
10% of female.
Okay, so it's pretty much still male dominated at the
Yeah.
moment. But how are your females performing? How are your lady pilots performing? At par?
Yes, some are even
Better.
performing better than the others. It's really a
Yes.
very equal game for it's anybody's game, so to speak.
Sure. And because I saw some photos and I saw not a couple. I mean, I saw a couple of pretty good-looking ones. And I understand you have. I think you have a beauty queen or something as one of your students. or
One of them is Binibining Pilipinas candidate.
And when did she
Number
graduate?
18?
Is she in the photo?
Yes.
Is she there?
The third one from the left.
So these are all your students. These four are your
Yes.
pilot cadets, lady
Yes.
lady cadets. Bravo, bravo. It makes me want to go to your school, huh?
It so happened that they're all together in one class.
That's from the women empowerment. Very good, very good. Now, okay, you talk about simulator, and what is special about your simulator?
We have three. The latest one is the first in the Philippines.
Okay.
It's a wide body Airbus 330, 340. It's convertible from a 330 to a Airbus 340 full flight simulator. It can mimic the movement of the actual aircraft. It can mimic.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, one of these days we're inviting you to
Definitely,
visit the
yes,
simulator
yes.
and get a feel of
So
how
when
it
you say
is to fly.
when you say it can mimic the actual, let's say if there's an emergency, it can simulate all that.
Yes,
if
it can-
if
it
there's
can-
a nose dive, whatever, it can simulate all that.
Everything.
Bro, wow. Okay.
Including
and
the weather, the time of the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you said this is the only one of its kind in the country.
Yes.
Where did people usually go, Dindo, before you had this? If it's the only one in the Philippines, how did Pinoys train for this kind of equipment previously?
OD is in a better position to answer that, Bads.
Local airlines would have to go to Hong Kong, Taipei, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore to get training for this type of aircraft. Unlike starting in June, they won't have to go out of the country anymore.
Okay,
We now
so
have
now it'll
something
be
to offer.
operational in June. Bravo, bravo. And state-of-the-art facility, I mean state-of-the-art
It's
facility,
very much
state-of-the-art simulator.
comparable to what we see outside of the country.
How many hours do your students get in a simulator like this? I mean, how much is it, how much time spent there?
The program that we offer is a 54-hour program on the simulator.
Very good, very good. Now, let's talk about when they finish your school, I mean, when they finish from AAG and they enter the private sector, where do your students usually go? I mean, do you assist in placing them in airlines or do they have to look for employment themselves? What is the next step?
Our experience right now, Bads, honestly, is that we don't have. It's not hard for us to get our cadets placed because there are some times when even the cadets haven't graduated yet. The
They're
airline
ready.
are already there to check them, and there are even times when we are not getting a schedule for the cadets to do the graduation because immediately after they finish the
No more
training,
time to walk up the stage. They want
yeah, no more time
join
to
the airline
collect
right
them
away.
all and have the graduation. So sometimes it took us one time it took us about 2 to 3 months to just consolidate them and have the graduation conducted. So that bespeaks of the quality of graduates that we produce in AIG, and probably if you speak about the statistics of all the graduates of AAG, maybe there are some, let's say 2%, 2 to 5% who are not with the airlines right now because of a personal choice. Some of them are really rich guys who prefer to manage their own business.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they just went and became pilots
Yes,
just to
yeah.
be able to fulfill the dream, like
Yeah.
perhaps you similar to your dream, and then but they never really got into it as a profession.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
The way Alpha really do it, if we have a lineup of those cadets who are not yet placed, especially those new graduates, and we have constant communication with the airlines, and once we know that there are opportunities with the airlines, whether it's going to be local or with Vietjet, we call them up, do some mock interviews, in
Very
fact,
good, very good.
and added value to our training, and then we recommend them to the airlines.
Odi, as head of training for AAG, what's your advice to people watching now who want to, hey, I mean, we've always wanted to become a pilot, but they didn't know how to do it, and maybe they don't know what the first step is. What is your advice?
Because of the demand, the current demand in the requirement of the airlines for pilots, now is the best time to get that dream fulfilled. Head on to our campus. We have a short tour, and we will give you an appreciation of what we offer.
Bravo, bravo. I mean, it sounds like, as Dindo said, it sounds like almost guaranteed employment, no? If people are waiting at your doorstep, give us your graduates. Sounds like a good business, good career to get into. Very
Yes,
good.
yes.
So guys, thanks for coming to the show, but we have to pause for a break. But when we come back, Chris is going to be here, and you know, you'll be around as well. So we'll talk about, you know, expansion plans of the company and your plans and programs for the future and all that, including the launch of your Airbus simulator, which is going to happen in a few weeks. So guys, stick around because more of the airline industry and aviation when Global Village returns.